Hi people, good morning. I'm spending the morning today at a program run by IBTC, and it is called Creating Wealth Through Home Ownership. And for me, when I hear of the topic of creating wealth, I want to be there, and I've said it often and often and often that home ownership and real estate ownership, investment in real estate, is one of the biggest ways to create your wealth. So I wanted to share some things that I have found interesting so far. We're mid-session, we had a tea break, and I thought I want to come and record my thoughts as they're fresh. Now, I live in Lagos State, and I found it interesting to know that in Lagos State, they say in every hour, we have 94 new entrants into Lagos State every hour, meaning people leaving from all over Nigeria and coming to Lagos State, every hour. And these people are coming and they're not leaving, which means that every day we have 1,140 people coming to Lagos State. In a month, we have 34,200 people. In a year, you have 410,400 people. I find that interesting because I was one of those people who came into Lagos State and just never went back. Right? I remember being posted here for my law school, and I really, really tried to work it to go back to Abuja because I'd never lived in the South before then. But I have been here 22 years now. And why? Because it actually is our land of opportunity. There's so much you can get done in Lagos State that you're not doing in other places. But this is not a conversation about Lagos State. I just found that really interesting. What I found interesting as well is if you followed me for any length of time, you will know that one of my greatest ambitions and desires for my life as an individual is to build 50,000 houses by the time I'm 50. And as I listened today, Lagos State alone has a 2.3 million housing deficit, meaning there's the opportunity to build 2.3 million apartments for people to live in. The estates owned by Lagos State government have so far provided, new estates have so far provided for only 10,000 people. Do you see the opportunity here? Do you see the opportunity here? Do you see the opportunity for collaboration on that one piece of land that you've gotten? Maybe a 650,000 square meters, a 1,200 square meters feet of piece of land that you've gotten. Rather than think first that you must get a piece of land in Lekki or Ikoyi or where you want to live, the first thing is to think that you want to build wealth with it. So it's not that you want to live there. So if it was further down, somewhere, outside town, that you were able to get the landing, 4 of you, 5 of you, your group of friends, you come together and you build up. You build many apartments. You build 20 apartments, depending on what urban permits will give you. That way, you start to unlock your wealth from real estate as opposed to waiting to build what you would live in. I had shared it on a video once, and this is from Robert Kiyosaki, about the house you live in not being an asset. I got quite a bit of feedback with people saying, no, of course your house is always an asset. Yes, it's an asset, but it depends on how you make it an asset. The reason why he defines it as not an asset is because you are spending money on it, and he's defining an asset as something you make money out of. So when you build your house, you also want to think of, can I unlock value in this house? And one of the things that was discussed is how, even though we're getting more sophisticated, usually what you would do is an equity release from what you've invested in. So if you were not in Nigeria for now, and I believe we will eventually get there, you would buy a property, you would make improvements on the property, you would buy through a mortgage, make improvements on the property, probably rent the property out for a couple of years, with your improvements, then remortgage the property. So you unlock more money from your existing property. Then you use that money to do your next investment. Do you see how that works? So real estate usually unlocks other real estate. I think things that I found interesting is about the Lacera and the open balloting by the Lagos State government. I want you to look for that, find information about that, because that might be a way that you can enter into the real estate game. Another thing I found really interesting that I must drop for you because I want you to make wealth. I want women to make wealth using their skills, talents, experiences, and income. And it is in real estate and in investment that you are able to use your income, your money, to make more money. But I just heard, and I will do further research on it, and I will probably take advantage of it, is that the PENCOM Act has been adjusted to allow you access your RSA account for an initial deposit towards buying a home. Before it was that when you leave work and you haven't worked for 6 months, then you could access your pension for a certain amount, and after that you couldn't access it maybe until you became 50 or 55 years or something like that. The law now says that, I don't know if it's actually recently changed. I'm just recently coming into this level of information, which is why for me, when I came in this morning and I saw the space, I thought, you are not going to disengage. Every time they talk about wealth, real estate, finances, and investment, women generally think it's not our issue, but it is our issue. We should be in the places where those conversations are happening for our own sake, right? So with the Pension Act, with PENCOM, if you have your money in your PFA, you can unlock it for the down payment for a property. And I think this is interesting. I have other videos, I'm going to reshare them in my stories, where I said, if you can increase your voluntary contribution to your pension while you're working, you increase what you have in your account, like with the pensions. But the pensions are doing a great job. As far as I know, the pensions funds are doing a great job of increasing the value of our money. It's one of the safest forms of investment I have seen. And I'm not an investment advisor, I'm just a person who engages in wealth, and I look at my money and I look at what it is doing so that I can replicate what is good. It's one of the safest and most proactive. I see that when you put the money they put in for you and the money your pension fund says you have, the gap is wide. They're working really hard. So if you increase your voluntary contribution and they're making your money work hard for you, then what you can access becomes more. Anyhow, because I love you and because I want you to make wealth, I thought to come and share this. My name is Hajel, and I teach women to make wealth using their skills, talents, experiences, and income. That's what we do at the Audacity to Sow. I rely heavily also on the word of God and the fact that by being a created person, by the God who did all of this, there are things that I'm entitled to and that you are entitled to, and we want to practicalize how we can step into it from where we are today into the wealth, into the possibilities, into changing the continent. Imagine if I built 50,000 houses, you built 70,000, he built 100,000. Imagine that as private sector participants, we can actually really change this continent that we're living on. We can. Africa is rich and her wealth is locked up in you. And if you would focus on how can I extract what is in me for the benefit of our country and our continent, the continent will change. Ciao.